vulnerability of our nuclear plants. It's a 2-minute video, so check it out. Should you be concerned? Drives right through the main gate, security gate at Calvert Cliffs Nuclear Power Plant. Should it be that easy to access? It does say restricted area. Maybe they're hoping that people will not come in because they see the sign. Gate is closed, guardhouse is empty, but wide open to drive right through. The guard gate was padlocked. There's a grid. Nuclear plant right there behind it. Coming within 60 feet of a nuclear reactor. Okay, so folks, are you concerned? You should be. That's the Calvert Cliffs Nuclear Power Plant. I was stationed in Pax River, Maryland, in the Navy, and my wife used to work there. And they're actually, I remember going through there and everything, and there was actually very stringent, very strict controls on security. Not sure why they got so laxed. Should anybody be able to drive through and get that close to a nuclear plant? Just think about it, folks. You get some terrorists there. Someone with enough ingenuity to blow up one of those. They're 60 feet away. Nobody's stopping them. You could drive a van, as you saw, right through. This is concerning. And it's not just our nuclear plants, and it's not just Calvert Cliffs. It's throughout the nation. Many nuclear plants and our electronical grid out there. So, when will America wake up? When will the government start taking control of this issue and start making sense of it all? All right, this is Francesco Abbruzzino, live. Well, it used to be live news and talk show. Now I got to record because of bandwidth issues. So this is Frankie, and today is Tuesday. Or no, it's Wednesday. I'm losing track of time, but it is September 10th, the day before September 11th. Will there be a terrorist attack? With the gates wide open like that, will be on one of our nuclear plants or on the electrical grid? That's the question we need to start asking ourselves. All right, lots of news today, guys. This is a one-man show. Basically, I do everything technical, research, website, hosting, running everything. I will run some ads that are revenue-sharing ads. That's because after 5 years, I decided to start trying to make some kind of income and do something with this. And we're going to see if it works out. If it doesn't, fine. If it does, great. So we're going to play it by ear. And the show is dedicated to trying to educate, change, inspire people into getting out and affecting change. Try to cover news that's national and international that you don't always see on major media. Some of it you will, a lot of it you will not. And to question, how come we're not seeing it on major media? And I think that's why we're seeing the decline of major media, which I often call commercial media, is because they don't show stuff like this O'Keefe video I'm going to show you, where he just comes right across the Canadian border. And so the whole theme of today is, where's the security? You know, we're seeing this threat of ISIS. We're being told there's this threat of ISIS coming into the United States, but why such a lack of security? And should we take action on this issue? So we're going to go into first the Syrian opposition, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the demilitarization of the police. And then I'm going to show you this ISIS video. So that's we're going to try and knock out in the first segment. We'll see how that all goes. But basically now Obama's coming out. And he says, hey, we need to go ahead and we need to do something about Syria. He's supposed to speak tonight at 9 o'clock and give us his strategy, his game plan for going into Syria and basically attacking the rebels. One of those options is arming the Syrian opposition, the Free Syrian Army, or rebels, whatever they call themselves today. And here's the issue, folks. If you were watching the show yesterday, these people are working hand in hand with ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and al-Nusra, extremist groups. So when you're giving money to these moderate rebels, as Obama calls them, are you not essentially giving them straight to the extremists, straight to the Al-Qaeds of the world, straight to the ISIS of the world? Now, he plans on coming up to Congress and asking them for authorization for arming this opposition. He's also going to ask for more money and possibly an uptick in troops or support, military equipment support to Iraq. And this guy, I think his name was Ernest or Ed at the White House conference yesterday it was Ed asking Ernest, essentially, hey, since we're building back up our military there in Iraq, is the president basically admitting to the fact that he messed up and by pulling out early? Of course, the White House said, oh, no, it doesn't mean that. But of course it means that. And I think it was on Fox News. They're like, why doesn't Ernest just come out and say, of course it means that. We screwed up. We did this. We did that. Probably because he wouldn't have a job, and the president does not like to admit his faults. He likes to blame everybody else, unfortunately. So he'll do this brief thing. He'll do prime time. He's got a 9 o'clock spot. And he was looking for this authority to basically go out against this Islamic State. He would like Congress to support him, which he probably will get because you got a lot of these aggressive neocons in there that are pushing for him to go into Syria and go to war for the military-industrial complex. Here's the issue, though, folks, and I've said it time and time again. We created ISIS. If you haven't been following the show, you're new to it. I can tell you that when this whole Syria thing erupted, you had basically Iran and Russia on a side, the government's side, and then you had Israel, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and the United States basically on the rebel side. We've been supplying them weapons. We've been funding them. We've been training them. We've basically taken this ISIS, which used to be Al-Qaeda in Iraq, and created ISIS out of it. Even though the president says, oh, they just popped up in June, that's bullcrap. They've been around for years, and he knows this, and he supported them. And now he thinks, and unfortunately I think he's right, that Americans are so dumbed down that they're going to accept the fact that these Syrian rebels have no connection to extremists and that it's a good move to give them weapons. This time legally, because I do firmly believe we've been doing it illegally. And a lot of people might tell you that a lot of the weapons from Libya were being brought over to Syria and given to the rebels, and which is why we had Americans there in the whole issue that happened back in Benghazi. So it is a concern of mine. And what should we do? Unfortunately, we're not going to see any action. You got the Republicans that are going to back this neocons. You got, what's his name? That guy from Arizona, McCain. He just wants to go to war. You got the Democrats now that's saying, yeah, let's go into ISIS. You got the American public saying, yeah, let's go after ISIS. And a lot of them do not know or do not understand the facts that led up to this and how Obama's actions, how the administration's actions, how the globalists have brought us into Syria and are exploiting this whole thing and expanding it. And it's going to turn into a nightmare for us, folks. All right. Now, we're going to hop over. We're going to, you know what? Why don't we go to that ISIS video since we were just talking about them a little bit. And it's not essentially an ISIS video. What it is this guy, O'Keefe. He's the same person that did the Acorn, where he snuck in there and said, yeah, I want to do some basically, what is it, human trafficking, and they were like, oh yeah, fine. He also did a skit about a month ago where he acted as a ISIS extremist crossing the border and walked right through, no problem. And now he's got this very interesting one where he essentially takes a boat across the lake from Canada to Michigan, or Cleveland, and walks dressed as an ISIS, walks right into the Hall of Fame, rock and roll Hall of Fame there with bags that indicate ricins in here and Ebola. So let's give this a watch and tell me what you think of it.
Hi, I'm James O'Keefe with Project Veritas. I'm out on a boat in Lake Erie, leaving Cleveland, heading towards Canada, and we're going to examine today if our borders are secure and if we are safe as Americans. Security experts say the rise of ISIS in Syria and Iraq has significantly increased the risk of an attack here in the United States. What if ISIS wanted to send a terrorist here? How hard would that be? If an ISIS terrorist could get to Canada, could he hire a boat? Could he bring poison or even the Ebola virus? Could he get across Lake Erie and into the United States? Could he do it without getting caught?
We're just leaving Canada now. Careful, it's contagious.
Last month, we crossed the Rio Grande from Mexico into the United States. Our report changed the national debate. It also seems to have garnered the attention of ISIS. This document obtained by the Breitbart News Network is from the Texas Department of Public Safety. It warns that ISIS is actively encouraging supporters to take advantage of the porous U.S. borders. It specifically cited our Texas report as evidence. With all the attention focused on the Mexican border, we wondered about the level of security on the Canadian border. All right, so this is Captain Bob Swinney. Captain, where exactly are we?
We're in Lake Erie. I don't know, 10-15 miles maybe off of the U.S. coast.
Captain, how often do you see Border Patrol? How often are they out here? Do you see them frequently?
No, I've never seen Border Patrol out here. I have seen Coast Guard a time or two.
Sitting on the southern shore of Lake Erie, the Cleveland metropolitan area is the home of about 2 million Americans. It's just about 45 miles from Canada. What are the immigration laws like in terms of checking in with authorities if you pick up somebody?
Basically, what's supposed to happen is if you're going to leave U.S. waters, you're supposed to call the Customs Border Patrol.
So it's basically like an honor system.
Basically,
You're supposed to do it yourself.
Correct.
So they expect like a terrorist to potentially check in with the immigration people, right?
Yeah, I guess that's the idea.
We checked the U.S. Customs and Border Patrol website, and it confirmed the absurdity. Operators of small pleasure vessels arriving in the United States are required to report their arrival to Customs and Border Patrol immediately. The Canadian border has become relevant because the British government says American journalist James Foley's ISIS assassin was an Englishman. British intelligence believes more than 500 British citizens have joined ISIS. Brits can enter Canada without a visa. It's virtually an open door. Hiring a small boat to travel from Canada to the middle of Lake Erie could not be easier, and no one seemed to notice the terrorist on board.
Yeah, right there. Get as close as you can.
Who are you? What are you doing here?
My name's Abdul. I was just crossing the border into America.
What are you going to do in America?
Well, as you know, on August 17th, we stole Ebola from a lab in Liberia. We took the bandages and bed sheets, and then we covered themselves in hope that we get infected. The incubation period is about 21 days, and, well, it's been about 21 days.
How did you get here? Did you cross in a boat or something?
Well, I used my British passport to get to Canada, and then, yes, I took a boat.
No Border Patrol stopped you?
Do you see any Border Patrol? Do you see any Coast Guard?
What's in that other bag?
This is ricin. As you can see, Cleveland's water supply is over there. If we pour it in there, it'll kill a lot of Americans.
So obviously that guy is not really an ISIS terrorist. We did not import ISIS terrorists into the United States from Canada, but anybody can get across this border. You can come across in a jet ski if you wanted to. And no, this is not actually ricin. This is not actually Ebola, but you could import weapons, you could import whatever you wanted to because there's no detection on our borders. And that's the question we're asking again. Do you feel safe?
Well, how about it, folks? Do you feel safe? Are you concerned after seeing that video? There is a lot of focus on our southern borders and about how they're not secure, how anybody could walk through. But Canada is even worse. And you've seen just by that video. Take a boat across. Nobody questions you. The one charter captain says he never sees Border Patrol. Yet we see Border Patrol 80 miles into Texas. You saw the water supply thing, and I don't know if it is. The guy indicated there's a water supply. Just throw ricin down there, boom, everybody's infected, or whatever chemical or whatever virus they want to dump in there. How about the city? It's right there. Put off a dirty bomb, boom. And he's got a valid point. If you're British, you can go in there. It's part of the British colonies. Just walk right into Canada. Hey, go right across the border, boom, you're into the United States. So the point here is, people, you really need to be concerned. There's more to it than meets the eye. And you need to start contacting our lawmakers and saying, stop this stupid game. Secure our borders. Do what's right for the people. Don't do what's right for the special interest. So let's take a quick break. I'm going to get set up because our next segment is going to be a little bit longer, so I'll be right back. Hey, everybody, this is Frankie, and I'm here today to introduce Longevity. It's a great nutritional supplement to anybody that's eating right or not eating right. I take supplements on a regular basis, and Longevity cannot be beat, especially at some of the great price points. So go to theroguegrant.com or theuncensoredreport.com and click on shop. Go down to Longevity, click on it, and you'll be helping out the operations of the station so that we can continue to bring you a fresh perspective on alternative news. Longevity, check it out today. 1-800-PET-MEDS. Yes, get your pet essentials, your medicines, your collars, everything you need online. And guess what? You'll be supporting the operations of this great station, the Uncensored Report. So go to my website, click on the icon for 1-800-PET-MEDS, and help us continue the information war that's going on out there. Get some of this great apparel from theroguegrant.com or the Uncensored Report or theviniscoop.com. We have hats, shirts, coffee mugs. They say educate, inspire, and change. Or for my Scoop fans, it'll say the Venice Scoop, Sarasota Scoop, etc. Help me with this operation so I can continue to get a fresh perspective on the news out to the masses. Thanks a lot, and have a great day. Just go to my website and click on the icon. Check out My Patriot Supply. They got the straw there. That straw is great. I tell you what, folks, you can go out and basically, if we're in a critical situation and there's a massive hurricane, there's no water, guess what? You use these straws, the life straw, out there in the pond, and it cleans out all the water and gets you filtered water. How can you beat it? Check it out. Check the product and much more, and help support the operations at theuncensoredreport.com. Okay, folks, and we're back. We got a little bit of an echo. Boom, let's take care of that. Bow, we're all done. Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit. I don't have a lot of subject matter. There wasn't a ton of stuff out there, so we're talking about different things. And one of the things we're going to talk about is the police, and will demilitarizing them really solve the problem? Or is it more deeply rooted, and should we look at other options or other issues? And, basically after years of the federal government just funneling millions of dollars into militarizing our American police force, the same government is now eager for justice and trying to take it away. And they're saying they're setting it up as, oh, hey, we didn't realize this when it happened in Ferguson. We were just appalled by it, the brutality and the force, and it's disturbing. So, is it so disturbing that, in fact, that members of Obama's cabinet and Congress are going to pursue a policy of demilitarization? I don't know. Obama himself, he's an active proponent of militarization. He put out this statement, and I have it right here. I think it's probably useful for us to review how funding has gone, how local law enforcement has used grant dollars to make sure that what they are purchasing is stuff they really need. He's aware of it. He knows that they're out there using it. is the stuff they really need. Well, who's to say you need a grenade launcher? Who's to say if they need Apache helicopters? I'm sure any intelligent individual could work up a game plan stating how in some way or another they need this equipment, but they really don't. And what it is creating this de facto standing army, which is against our Constitution. And it's a loophole. Instead of actually putting the military out there, arm the police and militarize the police. You know, you got Holder out there. He's deeply concerned, and he's launched a civil rights investigation, obviously, into Ferguson. And they're using well-calculated words and actions to indicate that they're taking the step in the right direction. That the ineptitude of the government to regulate itself is a concern. That there possibly may be a lack of consistent public scrutiny. And that the glorification of violence in American society has prevent a policy of demilitarization from creating a lasting solution to increase the waves of police violence and abuse that we've been seeing out there. Now, I don't know if it's new, if this wave is new, if it's caused from the militarization. Perhaps it's caused because everyone's got the phones now and you're constantly seeing this updates on sites like Cop Block. I don't know. But I do know that the state is increasingly tasked with solving problems, and often ones it created or enabled, like the militarization of the police. Let's take the Federal Reserve in 1913. It helped cause the Great Depression. This is a private entity. It's not a government entity. And for a century, the pillar of economic policy has been widening the gap between the rich and the poor. When the economy collapsed in 2008, the federal government took no action. I was impacted by it. And it did so basically by strengthening the power of the banking elite. And they did it with bailouts, just like they did a couple years ago, which Bush initiated. So after years and decades and millenniums of spreading democracy by dropping bombs and toppling multiple democratically elected leaders, the federal government continues to deal with the disdain it sowed by starting wars and continuing foreign meddling in 21st century. And this perpetual policy, policy has basically reared its head again in dealing with the Islamic states. And even though they were praised for ushering in stuff like civil rights or how combating racism in the 50s and 60s, it went on to institute prejudice policies, gun controls laws that were racially motivated, and they came up just basically after the urban race riots. And the race riots were basically in response to police brutality and institutionalized racism. How about the famous racist drug war? It continues today. Many people attribute it to actually the expansion of drugs. The 2012 National Defense Act. It was passed by Congress, met with public outrage. And this was because the government and the president's assertion that they could indefinitely detain American citizens. How do you feel about that? And members of the Congress, they seized the opportunity to fix the bill only to use the language that deceptively still allowed a domestic use of our military. This whole pattern of the state's failed self-regulation holds true with the case of police brutality and militarization. When you got politicians and government bureaucracies who armed police in the first place, and then you're going to entrust them to rein them in, like the celebrities and the Black Caucus want to entrust the government to rein them in. They want the Justice Department to basically do this. It's naive. Isn't it naive? I mean, to assume that their talking points and claims of concern will enact something tangible, some type of tangible change. And even if their intentions are genuine, the nature of the bureaucracy and the drive of powerful agencies like the Homeland Security, Pentagon, Defense Department, they make it difficult to effect real change in a timely or efficient manner. And this shouldn't be that way, folks. You got the majority of the population out there disapproves, right, especially right now with the president and Congress. I think the president's disapproval is somewhere around 53%, somewhere in that area, maybe higher. And they want reform or to vote. But you know what? They say that you won't see it out there. I see it a lot here with local politics. People are constantly on my local media saying the concerns they have from 2050 to just how your local city council acts. And they say they want change, yet they don't get out and vote. So then the people that do vote go out there and elect the same people that have the same agenda they have. You got to get out there. You got to take action, folks. So you got the politicians. They're out there. They're spouting talking points about the perils of police militarization and that they want to take actions to stop it. It is the nature of authority to shift back to the misdeeds when public stops paying attention, though. So you need... Sorry, I got something stuck in my throat. You need to still pay attention. The public needs to be on guard. We need to watch these guys because as soon as your attention shifts, they're going to do what they want. And, it's between their tendency of corruption and American apathy that this perfect storm of perpetual police abuse will continue, and it won't stop. And even though there's this tendency towards misconduct and the public acceptance of it, the public endorsement and eagerness of violence solidifies basically this whole militarization. When everything the state does is predicated on the threat of force to get its way, whether it's taxation, healthcare, war, or violence will be, or any other issue, violence will be employed. And this whole aggression demonstrated by the United States will be employed militarily and eagerly consumed by Americans in the concept that it's keeping us safe. Go ahead, continue to spy on us. Go ahead and militarize the police. Go ahead and put GPS units in my watch with Apple. It's keeping me safe. It's helping me. You got this government that's committed agents, and they're committed to glorifying the police and condemning others. Government violence runs rampant, be it in the police force, be it with politicians, no matter where you're at. When they get this power, this authority, you tend to see it abused. When the American military is with policemen of the world, the policemen of America inevitably act like the military, and that's because they're armed with the weapons. Perhaps if they didn't have this militarized weapon, perhaps they would not act that way. And that's the question, would they? But without our vigilance over crimes and misdeeds, this will continue. And we need to stop it. And while the whole police demilitarization is a necessary step in the right direction, history shows that long before police were militarized, they were harassing innocent and non-violent citizens based upon their own prejudice or lust for power. These aren't just qualities of a heavily armed police state, though. Affairs have definitely worsened since this trend began. Removing the armed vehicles, removing the military weapons will help decrease the shock and shame of this overly armed police force. But the fact remains that violence begets violence. And the state is inherently impotent to regulate itself. Basically, change can only come when Americans currently jaded by this whole disenchantment with the political engagement stop tolerating it and actively hold the police accountable. I don't know if that'll happen, folks. So basically, the answer to it is, man, I finally got that out of my throat. No, demilitarizing police I'm not a big believer that it will stop a lot of the abuse of power that we see going on out there, unfortunately. But it has to happen. We cannot have this de facto standing army which is basically police with military equipment, and as a loophole because you can't put the military on the street. And I think most of you guys will agree with that. And I don't care. They could throw all day long out there that it's for my safety. It's not. It's for the government's safety so that they can stay in power and continue their agenda. All right. Right now, too, something that we're hopping over to China. And there's a lot of concerns yesterday, and I don't know if you heard about this. I don't remember seeing it on the news. But according to the Russian media, at least 12,000 heavily armed Chinese troops have been moved to the Russian border as the tensions are rising. Not sure why they would move to the Russian border, because it's essentially they're lining up against Russia there. And I would think that they'd go, I mean, I just don't get the logic there, because right now they got all these partnerships working with Russia, like they just did the big oil deal. But for some reason, the FSB Border Service is saying that Beijing's dispatched troops there along the border, about 12 to 15,000 soldiers, and they're heavily armed. It remains to be seen whether the Chinese troop movements is related to the large-scale Russian nuclear drills that they're doing now, where they're pretending to bomb nuclear U.S. cities, or what it's for. Maybe perhaps over the whole Ukraine situation. But as I said, they've been forging closer links. I don't think they're good buddies. I think they're working closely together against the threat of America. And it behooves them to do this. I don't think they're good buddies out there, though. Or maybe it's in response to NATO's active response team. They're putting 3,500 people on the border there with Poland, Romania, and the Baltic states. So maybe China is doing it in response to that. Who knows? But it's a situation worth watching. One other real quick one is something I just saw before I came on. It's on marijuana. And I saw this whole movement, and they were talking about, let me see if they got anything interesting in here to talk about on there. No. All right. Basically, they were talking about the possibility of using these ETB cards while over in Colorado or wherever medical marijuana is legal, or even recreational marijuana. And I remember seeing a drive to try to use the EBTs. So then Jeff Sessions came out and he basically asked the government, hey, can these EBTs be used to purchase marijuana from dispensaries? And they came back out and said basically, yes, marijuana can be purchased with EBT cards. And so now he's getting some legislation. He's trying to put a stop to this. You know, you got so many people involved in these entitlement programs, and it's amazing that these loopholes continue to show up where someone can go into a marijuana shop, use their EBT card. Now, if you don't know, I'm assuming everyone knows what a EBT is. It's part of that $750 billion mean test welfare program out there, where they go out there, they give you the EBT. You can generally, it's put in your hands to go out there and try to get food for you, food for your family. But these people are out there and using it now to purchase marijuana. And that goes against everything that it was put in place for. And, you know, the reason I was looking at it more and more is because marijuana and the legalization of medicinal marijuana is basically in place now here in Florida. In January, I think it'll go in full effect, but they're looking at amending it so that it's even opens it up further medically in this November election, which it looks like it'll pass. So, you know, that's a concern. I don't want people out there using their welfare entitlement money on tax dollars out there buying medicinal marijuana. And so it's a concern of mine. And hopefully Jeff Sessions is going to address that and take care of that loophole that just popped up. We'll be right back after this short commercial message.
Is your money manager giving you safety and security? Wouldn't you like to make your money work harder for you? Then you should consider joining philsgang.com, where thousands of individual investors have successfully profited.
This year I'm up 60% on my portfolio. Following your system has been fantastic. I've been with you for about a month and a half now, and I'm already up 7%.
I've been in the business for a long time, and you're really one of the best I've ever heard.
Well, I just want to let you know what a great teacher you are.
For over a decade, philsgang.com's Phil Grandy and Donald Cogswell have been teaching, coaching, and investing right along with all Phil's Gang members.
I want to thank Donnie for market wrap. I bought 2,500 shares of AUY. and sold it this morning at $820 profit.
Why not join thousands of satisfied Phil's Gang customers today? Go to philsgang.com, philsgang.com, or call 877-600-4264. That's 877-600-4264. Call today.
All right, and we're back, and we got the echo. Hold on one second. There we go. Okay, that's Phil's Gang, guys. And if you don't know, he's offering a special to my fans and my people of the news show, of my web media outlet pages, basically extending to them a free class. It's a webinar. He normally charges $75 for this webinar, and it's this Saturday. Strangely, oddly enough, it's at 12 o'clock when my show is airing on the same station that he's sponsoring. I don't know why they did that. So, but the beauty of this is you can still listen to my show because it's on my website 24 hours, my local Sarasota County show. But if you want to listen to it on the radio or on Phil's Gang website or WLSS's website, you can do that because this webinar will be around for 2 weeks, folks. That's right. You're going to have access to it for 2 weeks, and it's free to my members. And basically, this guy, Phil Grandy, my sponsor, is a financial guru. He's syndicated throughout the nation on his financial prowess. So it would behoove you. It's free. Check it out. There's only 100 spots. I don't even know if any are left open anymore. You could try it. Go to philsgang.com/scoop, SCOOP, and see if there's any more seats available. If there are, snap up one of those last 100, folks. It wouldn't kill you. And then you got 2 weeks just to listen to how charting will help you make money in the markets. It's a good thing for him, Phil Grandy. All right, I'm going to cover about 4 different issues right now. One thing that just made me laugh, and it's on Ted Cruz. And he's up here basically talking about, 2 things happened. One is, I think I have it up here. Here it is. Okay, Holder's aide. Holder had an aide that accidentally called Daryl Issa's staff and asked for help in spinning the IRS scandal. That's right. You heard me right, folks. An aide for Holder, who's with the Justice Department, is supposed to be looking into this whole IRS debacle, is not supposed to be politicalized, thought they were calling a Democratic representatives. And they were trying to pass off information to the Democrats. And on this phone call, he's talking to this Issa rep or aide. And he's like, hey, look, we got to get this information out there. Obviously, we can't put it out there. We're the Justice Department. So we want to be able to give it to you, and you put it out there. And finally, it came to the person's attention that he was talking to an aide of ISIS, a Republican that's prosecuting or going after the IRS for this whole debacle. And they got nervous and hung up the phone. So is it a conspiracy? Are the people on the right saying are we far-fetched? It's a conspiracy. There's no real issue. The IRS was not going after the Tea Party. Or is it for real, folks? Why the hell is the Justice Department turning over talking points to the Democrats to fight against charges coming up against the IRS? This is a real question you have to ask yourself. And you didn't. I was watching major media today, and I saw nothing on it. Even Fox News, I saw nothing on there, and I was pretty much amazed by that. Now, here's the other thing, though, folks. Cruz, he's out there, and he's like, look, guys, I came across that you guys are targeting Breitbart. There's a media audit, and he's wanting to know why. Why is it that the administration has made a decision to utilize the IRS to audit this conservative news agency? And is the IRS targeting this agency? And he's worried because you got the IRS and the Justice Department acting in a partisan way. And they should not be. They should not be partisan, either one of those government entities. And so he's starting to wonder, why are they targeting media organizations to the right? Or do they have a good logic to it? Do they have a good reasoning for going after this, and it's not just because they're conservative? Is it like the Tea Party situation, or is it something different where they're going after liberal and Republican news agencies? And that's the question. So Issis wrote, Representative Issis, he wrote the commissioner. He's like, what the heck's going on here? What the heck's going on here? The IRS should not be doing this. And he sent out a few, or I'm sorry, Cruz. Ted Cruz did that. Senator Ted Cruz asked it. I'm getting ISIS and him confused, but, or ISIS. And it's weird. He does have the same name as ISIS does as ISIS. Okay, I just caught that. All right, so next we're popping over. This is alarming me, this whole respiratory thing. I've been talking to my daughters, and what's the official number before I go there? We got this respiratory virus, and I've been telling them, wash your hands, don't touch anybody's face, keep clean, blah, 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 all the usual stuff, because this thing's spreading like crazy. Just yesterday in Cincinnati, the Cincinnati Children's Hospital Center officials admitted, it says 540 patients on Friday. That's 540. And you're hearing about it throughout the country. I'm looking at this document here where states are starting to get concerned about this virus. And it makes you wonder, where did it come from? It just started up. A lot of people are saying, hey, wait a second. Was it from the illegals that came here? This mysterious virus, there's no cure for it. It's not killing anybody. You just got to go through it and work yourself through it, but there's no antibiotics to help stop it. There's no vaccines out there. And the numbers are starting to grow significantly. And it's starting to get a lot of people worried. It's basically a respiratory issue. It seems a lot like a cold. And it's impacting the younger kids, it looks like. Along with the theme of kids, school, housing. This is an interesting document I saw yesterday. Who put this out? New American. It's basically how homeschoolers are starting to outnumber private school students. And this is happening a lot in states like North Carolina. And they're wondering, why is they doing this? Why are they moving towards this? Is it because they're more informed? Because they're politically active citizenry, familiar with the basics education system out there, the Common Core, and they don't want their kids anywhere around it? But it's basically jumped from 14 to 27% that are homeschooling, which is a significant amount of growth. A lot of people are attributing it to a couple things: Common Core, violence in school, some schools with religious focus or lack thereof of religious focus. Some are saying the large classroom sizes, which is a concern. And overall, just a significant amount of dissatisfaction with the school systems in the United States. And it's causing this explosion into homeschooling. Back in 1973, there were about 13,000 students. And again, they're saying it's just that overall, the Common Core has a lot of them really scared. Lack of religion, we already discussed. I think another big concern is just the type of teachers and the type of training they're going through isn't significant enough, isn't sufficient enough to educate many of these kids, which is a concern of many individuals out there. I could be wrong on that, but I think that is one of the major underlying issues. And the beauty of this, though, is these homeschool kids are actually doing better at the college level. They're getting into these colleges. They're doing a lot better. They're free thinkers. They're not subscribing to the propaganda that a lot of these schools are spitting out there. A lot of it's to the left. They're not subject to Common Core, where 3 plus 3 does not equal 6, it equals 7, and you get it right because you did the right formula. And so, is it alarming? Should we be concerned about it? I don't know. It's more food for thought, but we'll be right back to discuss it. Did you know that the Bead Room, Macy's, and Sam's Club are now part of my organization, where we are doing a revenue sharing program? So go to my webpage, theuncensoredreport.com. Click on any of those 3 links and take advantage of some of the free shipping or discounts that you may get. In return, you're supporting the operation and allowing me to continue to get the message out, both locally, nationally, and internationally. Thanks for supporting the program. Check out My Patriot Supply They got the straw there. That straw is great. I tell you what, folks, you can go out and basically, if we're in a critical situation and there's a massive hurricane, there's no water, guess what? You use these straws, the life straw, out there in the pond, and it cleans out all the water and gets you filtered water. How can you beat it? Check it out. Check the product and much more, and help support the operations at theuncensoredreport.com. All right, guys, I was going to discuss homeschooling, but I think the conversation is over. It's very beneficial. If I had the time and the wherewithal to do it, I probably would do it with my daughters. I want my kids to go to college. I have one that's a brainiac, the other one that's more free-loving, and she's average and student. She's doing fine. She's just not into it. A lot like I was as a kid. And I think a lot of kids are better off, instead of going to college, taking the money, investing it into a business and starting your own business and running with it. College basically indoctrinates you to go out and become a sheep in corporate America. And I personally would rather see my daughters go out, start their own business, and be their own leaders, be their own bosses, determine their own future. But so be it. If they want to go through college and be part of the system, I'll let them. I'm not going to stop them. My one daughter, she's so smart. 10th grade, taking 3 college courses already, and there's no stopping her. So we're going to go into, we're going to wrap it up with Obamacare. Some new changes, and I never got to this. It's been something on the back burner, and you should know that healthcare.gov has been hacked. They uploaded some malicious software into it, and they found that they're saying that no consumer personal data was taken or breached, and that it was basically just appears that they tried to test healthcare.gov to see if it could be accessed. It wasn't a successful intrusion. It's something we should be concerned about. It's something that many security experts have talked about for a while now, and it continues to add towards many of the issues that they're having with security, with healthcare.gov. And it's just not limited to them. You saw recently Home Depot. They're going through the same issue. Here locally, we have Beef O'Brady's, where people are accessing data, taking it, and running amok with it. So it should be concerned. But I'm going to discuss 3 different things with Obamacare. The next one is the end of the employer-provided health plan. And I think I was talking yesterday about minimum wage and say goodbye to your health care. That's not the only driving factor. A lot of it is this whole Obamacare. And they're starting to think that about 80% of the employee-provided health care plans will disappear within 10 years. And that's coming from Obama's own health advisor, Zeke Emanuel. And what they're saying is that 80 to 90% will just be gone. And they're seeing this happen because a lot of people are thinking, wait a second, I can maybe pay a $2,000 penalty for not providing health coverage, or I can go out and pay health care coverage at these rates, which are going up. Believe it or not, you guys, I don't care. These people on the left, they can argue it all day long. I'm in the business. They're going up. So do you want to pay a $2,000 penalty, or do you want to pay $10,000 to provide your employee with health care? Most are opting, they're thinking, for the $2 or $2,000 in penalties. And so this is another one. And it's actually more like $15,000 to $16,000 for average health care for these individuals. So they're seeing that a lot of the employer-offered health care systems may be going to the wayside. And also unemployment. You got these people fighting for the $15, which will cut employment. But what about the whole Obamacare aspect? You got the CBO, and this is supposed to be a nonpartisan government entity, and they released a report that's basically bad for the economy. The GDP barely ticked up at 1.5 last quarter. And on top of that, you got really poor growth, but they're looking at why. What's causing this? And a lot of people are attributing it to Obamacare, where people are trying to keep employees under 30 hours to avoid offering Obamacare health insurance or paying any penalties for not offering it. And so what's happening is essentially Obamacare is leading to a decline in employment. over 18% of the firms indicate that the number of workers they were employing on the survey that they employed but stopped employing or dropped below 30 was due to Obamacare. 1 in 5 employers reduced employment significantly. And that's all due to that health care coverage that they're imposing upon these companies. And the companies are saying, look, we can't afford it. So we're going to have to let employees go. Not unlike what you will see with the $15 minimum wage increase. And that'll never happen. I mean, Obama's talking 10-10. That might happen. But 15 just won't happen anytime soon, folks. Because that is hurting employees and employers. It's causing employers to get rid of employees, to expect more productivity, just like Obamacare. And both of them are having a significant impact out there on the labor market, which we saw some horrible numbers just last week. So, you know, the numbers don't lie, folks. And I know a lot of you guys, a lot of the left will get annoyed by that, and they'll argue their point, but it's costing jobs out there. That's what it's basically doing. I should have covered this along when I was doing the school, and it's just on this whole zero tolerance thing. And we're talking now about chapstick. I was talking to my daughter, and we were talking about this respiratory virus, and I'm like, hey, look, you know, just bring the hand wash stuff out there and do that a lot. And she said, Dad, I can't. I'm like, what do you mean you can't? I bought you some. You have some. No, that's not the issue, Dad. All right, what's the issue? The issue is there's alcohol in there. And if there's any indication of alcohol in it, you can't bring it into school. I'm like, are you kidding me? And now we have that problem with lip balm. School nurses saying, an elementary school nurse in Virginia is saying, look, you guys can't bring in lip balm. And they did this to this 11-year-old, Grace Carafa. And she said her lips were bleeding. They were all chapped. They said, hey, look, you can't use it. So they started to bleed. So she asked for a chapstick again. She wanted to apply it. And they said no. And so then they started a school petition. They had like 236 people that signed it, and they still said no, zero tolerance. So a lot of people are asking, why can't chapstick be allowed? You know, ginseng. People get in trouble for bringing ginseng into school. And it's this zero tolerance crackdown and how ridiculously mundane it is. The most mundane activities are being cut off from individuals. Why is it that the school is more concerned about my daughter bringing in something to clean her hands than they are about the whole school getting sick? Perel, come on. What is she going to sit there and drink the Perel that might have some kind of alcohol? When is this idiocy going to end, folks? When are we going to sit up and say, look, schools, look, government, stop getting involved? School lunches. I don't know if you heard this, but now they want to do, I think it's a school lunch day without meats on Mondays. And it's upsetting a bunch of people. And I'm not sure where this one particular school was. I heard on the news today. They're like, well, we want to promote that eating meat is not good. And so we're going to do that. We're not going to offer you meat in your school lunch. They're already having millions of kids that stop buying because of Obama's stupid restrictions on it. And get this, when they impose those restrictions, folks, I don't know if you know this, to basically get the funding to impose the restrictions on the school lunch and change the way people eat so that they can tell us if our kids are fat or skinny and control what they're eating, they took away from the Medicaid program. So they said, look, we're taking away from Medicaid, so you can't go out and buy the food and provide your kid with the school lunch. You're going to have to bring them into school, and they're going to have to eat what we want because we want to dictate what your kids are eating. We want to dictate if they're going to be obese or not. Why are we giving the government all this authority, folks? Time to step up. Time to take action. All right, that's the show for today. I will see everybody tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Have a great day.